with me, joining in. Yogena cittasya padena vacham malam sharirasya chavaichikena yopakaratam pravaram muninam Patanjalina pranjali Anadushmi Ababu Prujakaram Shankachakra Siddharinam Shihasra Shirasamashvetam Pranamami Patanjalin Hari Om. Keep your chest lifted, bow your heads, and release your hands to your thighs. And just take in a few moments to just be in your space. So we're going to take our hands onto the wall and just turn the feet like this. Now some of you may find that the turnout may not be very much, it doesn't matter. What you've got to be sure of is that the whole leg is rotating. So if you are feeling a little bit of strain in the knees, then of course there isn't so much fluidness with the outward rotation, and therefore you will need to bring the feet in slightly. Whilst you're preparing, you're moving those feet, you may have to move them in a little bit and then move them out, just to get that feeling in the whole of the leg, and really importantly in that outer femur head. Stand in Tadasana. So grab your strap. Now we're coming for Uttita Hasta Padangishtasana to the side, and quite conveniently I have the wall here, which is quite handy, but you can put your foot on any ledge or the settee or the chair, whatever you find quite convenient. Even if you've got a yoga chair, this is quite good to use. So be mindful when you're coming to this action that your legs are really nice and straight. So I'm going to show you this action. So just keep an eye on the screen before you have a go. So I'm going to take my foot in and then take the leg up. Now you can see I'm taking the leg reasonably high because I want to see that I get that outer hip in. You can see that action. Now it may be that if you take it this high, then your leg buckles a bit. Now that means to say, if your leg buckles, then this is too high. So we have to take it down a bit, 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 or onto the chair or the back of the settee. Now what's interesting about this action, let's take the leg a little bit higher again, is that this outer femur head needs to move in of this lifted leg. This inner thigh needs to be very long and extended because this is the groin. We need to keep that nice and long. And breathe. Okay, we're going to change sides now. So you're going to change side, and I'm going to give you a few instructions on that. So when you come into this position, I'm going to just show with my hand to the wall and taking hold of my big toe, because as you know, this is eventually the action. So we're just building up. Today we will use the strap, but eventually we will start to work extending the foot. Eventually with the 2 fingers and thumb. So when your left leg is lifted, then be sure you're getting that lift out of the pelvis. Be sure that outer hip is moving in, and it is lifting you. So this is such a key thing, because this will help you to balance when you start to come into it in the classic way, and even maybe in the center of the room, which we will come to in the next few weeks, maybe months, we don't know. Okay, so releasing down and stand in Tadasana. So just watch the screen for a moment, and it'll be your turn in a second. So jumping the legs, lifting up. I'm going to turn the back foot in, turn the whole of the front foot and leg only to here. So I've taught this instruction before. It's because it's so good for that outer hip to give that support. So I'm lifting that heel and then swiveling, and hopefully this will give that outward rotation. My legs need to be a bit wider. So keeping that nice lift and then hinging over into the action. And then I'm going to come up, but you're going into it. So jump those legs apart. We're going to go to the right side first, left foot in and right leg out. Now remember that action of, there's a slight turn, there's a lift, and there's a complete rotation, outer hip in and straight in that leg. Now this is something I'm going to be going through regularly on these lateral poses. So when we come for actual classes eventually at some point, then you're going to find that this will be becoming a lot easier. Extend over into your Trikonasana, taking your hand to the shin, grounding into your back leg. So I'm not going to give you many instructions in this, because I want you to concentrate on that outer hip, connecting the outer hip, moving in. By the way, come up out of the pose and then turn your right foot in and your left foot out. Just be there for a moment. Remember, when you turn that left foot, it's that rotation and turning and extending, getting that rotation on that front thigh. And when you're ready to come into the action, just see that the legs are really straight. As I said, I'm not giving you many instructions on this. You know that the back leg needs to be really sharp and strong, that front leg rolling out, and that outer hip moving in. Now keep all of that strength as you lift the torso and you come up. Turn the feet to face forward and jump those legs together. Stand in Tadasana. So when we kneel, we're coming for Panagasana. I'm going to give you a demo on this. Now, I'm going to put a blanket here. You can fold your mat in 4. Oh dear, I'm not making a good job of this. There you go. Now, similar actions again, and you'll see the link of this outer hip moving in. So just watch the video firstly and have a look. Now my arm is coming in front so that I can press the wrist or the forearm against the inner thigh, so this outer hip moves in nicely. And the chest is lifting, everything's lifting nicely. Now some of you will be able to straighten your leg, or some of you will need to do this. Be careful when you're on your heel in this way, because you tend to drop into the back of the knee. So you have to see that you're reaching, you still are trying to reach with that leg. Quite often it's because the back of the calf is really tight and it's difficult to get that leg down. This certainly is a stiffer side for me, so I'm going to have it halfway. You can always support your foot with a foam pad or brick, but we are working in this way just for the moment. Then we're going to extend. Some of you will be familiar of rotating the arms, lifting up, and if you're coming into it whilst I'm demonstrating, that's fine. If not, get ready to go. So kneeling up nicely, coming to the right side first, remember the preparation, this, and lifting up nicely, and then see if you can straighten your leg. So that may be challenging if you've got tightness in your hips, if you've got a little bit of scoliosis, then it can be quite challenging to get the leg length. So see that you straighten your leg as much as you can. If not, you may need to do a halfway straightening of the action. Then arms out to the side, lift up, reach up, and hinge over to your right side. Now when you're hinging over, you've got to see that you're extending, holding onto the outer shin, and the arm is coming over nicely. So remembering that outer hip, you're not dropping it down. So this is something that happens, is that we forget about that. We forget about all of that beautiful opening, and then we drop out with the hip. So be sure that you're keeping all of that symmetry really nicely. And then releasing. Okay, we're coming to the other side. You may have run out of mat, so you may need to shift yourself along. And kneeling again. So I'm going to talk you through this way for your left side. So kneeling up nicely, lifting up, lifting the chest, and then we come into the kneeling position. Remember, hooking the arm and moving that outer hip in, and then see, can you straighten that leg? Can you straighten the leg? Extend the arms, rotate the arms, extend over, and reach as much as you can. So keep that action going. See if you can get those legs really nicely working, particularly the roots of the thighs, the outer hip moving in. Try and get that action that we were describing at the very beginning of the class. And then releasing and coming up. Okay, so those of you who find kneeling really challenging and sitting Sukhasana, like this, those of you who do Virasana, then you may need to have a little bit more support, maybe 2-3 foam pads if the knees are difficult or the feet are tight. I'm going to come into it this way. So you remember that there's got to be lots of space in the back of those knees. You're not beginners, so see that you remember to look after your knees in that way. So Sukhasana or Virasana. Really, you can choose that option. Take our hands into a prayer position, lift up. Taking the palms in this way. Now, we're going to see that we just do some very, very soft, light, pulsating actions onto the forearms. So just a little bit so that you get the chest lifting, get the chest lifting, get the chest lifting, get the chest lifting. So see that you are understanding that action, keeping the chest nicely lifted, release the hands down, either onto your Sukhasana legs or your Virasana legs. Whichever you're in, then we're going to turn to the right. So taking the hand, lifting up and getting that turn nicely. And breathe in. And then coming to the other side. So I'm going to turn my back on you now. If you're watching the screen, you can see there's quite a lot of direction going in the shoulders. Remember that this one needs to go down. And then release it. So, depending on where you are in your practice, if you can come into Adho Mukha Virasana, then do so. You can move your support, put your support underneath here, extend forward. If you're in a Sukhasana action, maybe a wide leg if you've got difficult knees, just come forward in this way. And just release the hips and then come up with a triangle. Okay. So we're coming for Paschimottanasana. So this again is a really strong action. So this comes from good Dandasana. So some of you will be familiar with Dandasana. I'm going to get my belt and a couple of bricks. Now I'm bringing these supports in because this is really a nice way to be in Paschimottanasana for a little bit longer. And the belt is there for people who find it difficult to catch their big toes or the outer foot. Now I'm going to sit on a folded blanket, but some of you may want to sit on a foam pad, or some of you may not want to sit on anything at all. But what this does is it opens the back of the thigh so that you can come forward a little bit easier. So because of my arms, they're a little bit short, I put my hands onto the bricks and extend in this way. So when you come for the big toes, if that's a little bit challenging, and then you hold with the belt, but otherwise you come for this action. So you're holding the big toes and you're trying to resist through the front of the body. So when you're here, you're going to lift up. So if you're watching the demonstration, then we come forward, we extend, we take the 2 fingers and thumb to the big toes and keep that lift all the way through the centre of the body. Extend into the legs and be there. So you've got to see that upper back is really lifting, working nicely, pushing down very strongly into the legs or using the belt. And then coming up. So we're going to change it slightly now. So take the feet to the outer edges of the mat. Now it may be that you need to have a little bit of support. So that's quite a lot of support, like that. And this may be what is required to keep your back nice and straight. Otherwise, you can come into this pose, holding onto the foot bones, extending. And just resting your forehead. You may be able to go down a little bit more into this position. Pull on those foot bones and reach forward in this way. So you're really opening the back spine. Alright, so your turn. If you haven't already started, be sure that the outer heels on the outer edges of the mat and lift up really nicely. And then extending forward, resting your head onto the support, holding onto the foot bones. Now, if that's challenging for you to do, you've always got your belt to go around your foot bones as we showed previously. So when you're in this position, the aim is not to go as far as you can. You've got to get as much lift out of the pelvis. So be mindful of that, and this will help you to come forward gradually. Through time, you'll be able to come a little bit more forward, edge yourself towards the classic pose. And now taking a breath in and coming back. Okay, so legs together in Dandasana. Now, when you're in Dandasana, you have to see that these thighs are moving down and the knees are lifting up very strongly, lifting up through the centre of the body. We're coming for Marshasana 1. So I'm going to do a demo. This is when we bend the leg. This leg remains really strong. I'm going to take a brick behind me just because I've got fairly short arms. I'm going to reach up and extend up. Now, when we extend this arm, you want to see that there's a rotation towards the ear side and then hook. So you want to get as much lift as possible and as much turn as possible, extending. Okay, if you haven't started with me, so coming to Dandasana, bending your left leg and then get that lift through the centre of the body and turn. Get that turn in action. Get that lift in action. So quite a strong extension. And then releasing and we come to the other side. So coming to the other side, straightening the legs. Don't rush. I know some of you are on the other side already. I know. But slow it down a little bit and extending, holding, reaching, extending up, turning, extending, reaching back. Getting that really nice opening in the ribs. So Marshasana 1, keep that lift, keeping that turn, and be aware of your breath. So a soft inhalation and exhalation. Alright, and releasing. We're coming for a Sukhasana action for Sukhasana Shavasana. So I'm going to move those things out of the way. If you're using a bolster instead of banded, then you can just turn the bolster around and come into this action. Otherwise, onto your support. You're just going to lie and rest those legs down in this position. Let the abdomen become soft, let the eyes soften, everything resting.